What is going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to yet another video. My name is Anthony Pinto da Costa and you are watching Canadian Physio Student. Alright people, so I'm back again with another video interview. And today's interview is all about the University of Toronto's Computer Administered Profile, better yet known as the CAP. And I've received a lot of messages about this, asking for some guidance and just some questions on how to prepare for it, how to do well on it. However, I didn't do the University of Toronto's CAP because I didn't apply to University of Toronto. So what I did today is I hunted down one of my good undergrad friends, Mr. Ali Mazaheri. That's how we say it.
Yeah, that's it.
And he's going to be providing you guys with some tips because he's a current University of Toronto physiotherapy student. So without further ado, Ali,
all right. Nice to see you, man.
Good. Really appreciate you coming on.
No worries.
It's Easter Sunday, so this speaks volumes about his character, you know, taken away from his family, but he's here to give you guys some helpful tips here, okay? So before we get into the whole discussion, do you want to just give yourself a brief introduction, tell the people who you are, where you're from, all that?
Sure. So, as Anthony said, my name's Ali. I'm in my second year at U of T right now. I went to Western for kin before this, and I grew up in Ottawa.
Beauty, beauty. All right, so I guess before we go into your tips, do you want to just give a brief overview of what the CAP is, you know, just what exactly it is and how long it takes, just a whole general guide on that?
Yeah, so the CAP basically 2-hour exam. You're going to have short answer, long answer questions. It's going to be a mix of a lot of different themes. Primarily, it's going to first look at why do you want to be a physio? What skills do you bring to the field? Do you have a passion for it? It's going to really try to get at that. Do you have a true passion for the field, or are you just applying because you don't know what else to do? And then it's going to look at your problem-solving skills and also some ethical-based scenarios. Sort of try to challenge you and put you in a situation where you might be in and see how you react.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so now that we know all that, do you want to just get into what everybody came here for, just the tips, basically? So if you can provide the viewers with some helpful tips or suggestions on how to do well on it, how to prepare for it, all that.
So number one, I'd say, and I know everyone's probably telling you guys, you know, look online, U of T website, look at, you know, physiotherapy itself and what it entails, and that's all good, and we'll go into that. But I think number one is just sort of sit down and think about why you actually want to be a physio. Right, because I think a lot of people, myself included, kind of went into it. You know, somehow I still got in, but went into it thinking, you know, I'm just applying because this is kind of the next feasible route. You know, I did kin, and it makes sense to do physio. But you want to sit down and just think about why do you want to do it? You know, what do you bring to the field? What skills do you have, whether it's interpersonal, you know, communication, things like that? What skills do you have that actually will benefit the field? What experiences do you have that are unique, right? Everyone's going to say, oh, you know, I volunteered here, I've done this, I like sports. You kind of want to avoid the I like sports thing because it's just so general. And, you know, as a CAP reader in the past, it's something that's very, very general. And that doesn't really look good on your part because it kind of makes it seem like you don't know what else to say. So you want to have ideas in terms of, oh, you know, I had this experience with physio in the past, or maybe I got treated for my elbow here and it was such a good experience that, you know, made me want to go in the field. So something a little bit more deep that shows that you have a passion for it, I think is really, really crucial for this. So I'd start with that, really just kind of assess where you are and why you want to do it. And then going into, again, the website stuff. So you want to go on the U of T's website, look at the program itself. You want to look at the organization of the program, how placements are broken down. You want to look at, you know, the curriculum itself, what differs U of T Physio from other programs. So you can just kind of talk about that a little bit and, you know, seem prepared in your answers on the CAP. You also want to look at the essential competencies. That's number one, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have looked at that already, but I believe there's 8 or 9 of them. And you want to, I think it's like expert, communicator, collaborator, all that stuff, advocate. So you'll want to look at all those and have an example for each as to something that you've done in the past or even currently that depicts that you have that quality. I think that would be pretty important there because they could totally get at that. That's fair game. And finally, and I think this is something that a lot of people don't really know about physio, is that it's just so broad, right? People still think that it's, you know, just in clinics, you know, where you're doing a lot of, you know, assessment in my elbow or my shoulder. but there's just so much more to the field, and I think that they can easily get at that on the CAP and to see, do you know that physiotherapy is also done in hospitals? Do you know that it's done in the community? Talk about, you want to know not only where do you have physiotherapists, but what their roles are in those settings. So for example, they can be in acute care hospitals, they can be in rehab settings, they can be in the community, go to people's houses. So you want to know all those settings. What do they do? How is that funded? Just kind of know the basics of physio, because in U of T's program, you're going to have placements at all these different settings, basically. So they want to know that you kind of are aware of the different profiles.
For sure. Yeah, no, I like the one thing that I always harp on is the competencies,
right?
Especially for the Queen's personal statement. The biggest thing for that, right?
Huge.
And like kind of relating them to your own experiences, like you were saying, to show that you have those qualities. Right. Absolutely huge. So I would suggest definitely to look over that document, become very familiar with it, how you're gonna kind of write your answers for it, throw in those buzzwords. I definitely like those buzzwords.
Yeah, exactly. Like I know for me, anytime you can throw in that, you were a collaborator in this setting, or you were an advocate here, like that's beneficial, because that really, like, they're gonna look for those keywords. Yeah. So you definitely want to do that for sure.
For sure, yeah. Before we move on to the next question, I also like the point about that you're bringing up about the broadness of PT, right? That's something that really hit me in the face when I was in PT school. I had a little bit of an idea of the different settings, but then actually learning more about it as I was going through my 2 years, I was like, wow, we are everywhere, right? And that's a big thing, I think, to focus on.
And I think U of T and other programs are kind of realizing that the people are coming into the program not really knowing that there's physios and cardio rest settings in acute care in the ICU. I didn't know either, right? So they're kind of realizing that, and they may start to really question that in the CAP. And so you want to know all the settings for sure. For sure. Yeah.
All great tips here from my man Ali. All right, so we got your tips here. So now, can you tell the viewers just about your experience with the CAP? Think of you, the scared Ali going into that CAP 2 years ago.
Sure.
What was that like?
You know what? It actually wasn't too bad. I'll say that what prepared me for it was doing the MAC. The MAC interview, where you have the 9 different stations, 6-minute stations per room, and different assessors for each room. So the type of questions were similar in that interview, but more of a pressurized setting. So that was a couple weeks before this. So that, I feel like, sort of prepared me for this. For a lot of people out there that are doing any sort of MMI, that's really going to prepare you mentally for this kind of exam. For sure. So it really wasn't too bad. You're basically getting similar questions, but on a computer, so you can really kind of sit with your thoughts a little bit. But I would say, it's still 2 hours, right? So you're going to have 9 or 10 questions. A couple of them are going to be pretty long. So I'd say you sort of need certain ideas going in, things that you know that you're going to say, to have enough time, and you need to be able to word it, eloquently, so that they, don't think that you just rushed it. The most challenging part, I would say, was probably the ethical scenarios, because it's really hard to prepare for that stuff, right? I think, as long as you look into the website, understand what's right and wrong when it comes to the field, even look at some of the cases on the college website, case of the month, case of the day. They kind of go into things that were done right or wrong. I think that'll give you a good idea of sort of what's frowned upon in the field, and help you answer those ethical scenarios. So that was probably the most challenging part, but all in all, it wasn't too bad. The feeling afterwards, you're kind of always uneasy, right? Yeah. This is your life, right? You're trying to figure out what you want to do, a lot of uncertainty. So the feeling afterwards is always the greatest, but it definitely felt better than the MAC interview, I'll tell you that.
For sure.
It wasn't too bad.
Yeah. I know this may be individualized here too, but what'd you find was easier, like actually having a real life interviewer in front of you, or doing it in front of a computer?
Easier in terms of answering the question?
Yeah, even just, feeling more at ease,
it's hard to say because one came before the other. Like if I did the CAP before the MMI, I might be thinking the MMI was easier. But the one that was second was, for me, 100% easier, just because I basically...
Because you had those experience.
So I'd say the CAP was a little bit easier than that.
Okay.
I'd say.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, before we get into this last question here, just piggybacking off what you said about looking at the case of the month, I know University of Alberta, their Physio website also has some ethical scenarios that you guys can go through too. I can put a link in the description below. Hopefully they're still up there. I haven't looked at them in a couple of years, but I'm sure they'd still be up there. But anyways, last question here. So, do you have just any last words or general piece of advice for either taking the CAP or just future physio students in general? And this can be anything you want.
Yeah, you know what? First off, in terms of taking the CAP, I'd say again, just really understand why you're doing this, right? Because I think the only situation where you can really go wrong is just going into the CAP and just really not knowing why you're doing the CAP, right? Some people may apply because they didn't get into med school, or they apply because that's just the next logical route. But that's not good enough for the CAP, right? You have to display a passion for it. You have to depict that in your answers. So I think that's number one.
For sure.
In terms of the actual field, I'd say the 2 years, man, they go by really quick. I remember going in, I would study for everything like I studied for undergrad. You know, you memorize this, you memorize that, but you don't have to do that.
No.
You really don't. I mean, they don't want, once you're in the program, they want you to succeed. It's not about filtering people out anymore. It's about keeping you in and training you the right way. So really, you're gonna have to change your study patterns a little bit. You know, filter out unnecessary information instead of memorizing everything, and just know what you need to know.
For sure.
I think that's the main thing.
Yeah, I've definitely done that.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not memorizing every single detail on every slide anymore.
My first exam, like I had maybe 100 pages of notes, and coming down to right now, I probably write maybe 20 pages.
Yeah.
You know, you really know how to filter things out and just generalize what you need to know, because you're not going to remember those 100 pages.
No.
And it's all about training you to be a good physio.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. All good tips, man. Anything else you wanted to add to this discussion before we wrap up? Or you
I think I'm good. That's it. Yeah.
Hey, man. Really appreciate you coming on.
No worries, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. If you guys like this video, make sure to like, share, and of course, smash that subscribe button. I really hope this all helped you out. Ali definitely dropped some knowledge bombs here today, so I will see you guys at the next video.
Another day, another dollar to be made. I'm a workaholic, ballin' hard until the grave. Used to wanna be a baller for the NBA, till the fellas around me started dunking in the 7th grade.